All right.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome.
Good afternoon,
Welcome
sir.
to Let's Talk Office Politics. Let's Talk Office Politics is your weekly lunch hour business session where we discuss different aspects on the subject of office politics. My name is Olatunji Shobodu. I'm your anchor. And this is one of the programs that we have, as part of in the Office Politics Champions Group. If you're not a member of the group yet, make sure you join the group. I will post a link before we are done. Our session is usually for just 45 minutes. And it's actually designed more for you than for me. It's an opportunity for us to interact, to share, whatever it is you may be going through at work in your quest to navigate your career successfully and to see how we can help each other. It's an opportunity for you to receive coaching on the go. If there are certain things that you are going through and you would like, to have the input of others, other like-minded professionals, experienced people, leaders, veterans, so to speak, this is one cheap opportunity, for accessing it. So let me not waste your time any further. If there is anyone who has any specific issues, please let us know. You want to raise them. We'll give you an opportunity to speak and you can share them. You can seek counsel on virtually anything as far as it relates to your work and it relates to the pursuit of your career goals and objectives. And God helping us, we'll be able to share with you some insights that could empower you to take full control of your journey and to continue to make very decisive progress. But while we're waiting for that, as our custom is, I normally speak to some issues. And today I want to speak to, this concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's something that's a terminology that we use a lot. In fact, we use it more in the corporate space than we do even in the religious space. I guess the prophecy there is what, sparks something about religion, but the self-fulfilling prophecy is a corporate term that we use to describe a particular phenomenon. And that phenomenon is something that I've observed plays itself out in the quest, for employees to realize their goals at work. And especially, when it comes to handling and navigating the politics at work and the politics of work. There is this, it's really an approach that we bring to bear on the way we work, the way we conduct our business at work. And without, being conscious of it, without knowing it, we discover that, we're the ones creating problems for ourselves. On the one hand, we're pointing accusing fingers, to different people as though they were the ones not allowing us to progress, not allowing us to get ahead, not allowing us to get promoted or to, be considered for other benefits or privileges at work, when in fact, we are the ones, who have basically dug for ourselves a pit. Now, what are we really talking about here? What are we talking about? It is the mindset that many, I mean, I've seen all too many. I have had the opportunity of running office politics programs, for close to 1,000 people, possibly more, and interacting with very senior people, in the corporate space and in other spaces. And you can't help but notice this attitude towards the politics at work, this mindset that has become all too pervasive, among employees. And particularly so for those who are not where they would like to be, who are not making the kind of progress that, they would love to make, who are not at those senior positions yet where everybody believes things are happening, the guys are enjoying, or whoever. When people are not there yet and they are busy, as it were, marking time, they tend to develop a negative disposition to the politics at work. They tend to feel that this is not for me. I mean, they look at what others are doing and they're sort of, pissed off, if I may use that terminology. And they say all manner of things about the politics. And, you find yourself trying to get them to understand that what they are pointing to, what they have observed, is not the politics. Most times, they're either talking about the people playing the politics, and they forget that they are supposed to be one of them, or they are talking about the manner in which the people are playing. And so very often, what the people do, who are those playing, become the basis for passing a judgment on the system, on how the system operates. And the reality of it is that in every organization, nobody talks about a politics taking place. However, the reality is that the interplay of forces among stakeholders, which characterize every institution, is really the politics. It's really the politics. That's why no leader will tell you formally that there's a politics going on. Nobody, seldom will you find in an organization where they will hold, a training program to teach you politics of the organization. But the reality is that there is politics, and it's simply, the interplay of the pursuit of interests by the key stakeholders within the organization. Now, so the politics by itself is not a problem, because the politics does not determine whether it is good or bad. It is the players that determine the nature of the politics. So if you have predominantly, dysfunctional players, then of course you're going to have a dysfunctional organization. If you have the right kind of people who understand, the way the politics should be played, and that it's really not a do or die affair, it's really a game of strategy, then of course, the politics will be healthy, will be fair. Now, if you come to the table or to the organization with the mindset that, they are the ones, there is no way that I can do what they are doing. I don't even want to be a part of all of this. Then what you would have done for yourself is you have come with a mindset. Your attitude towards how the organization operates, has been formed. Now, so most of those who find themselves in this situation, they are disinterested in how the organization is working. They choose usually to say, well, I am here to do a job, to do my job. My job is very clearly defined. I'm just going to focus on my job and get my job done, and I'll just depend on my job, to get me whatever it is. But I will not do some of the things that people are doing just to get ahead. And of course, you have a lot of people who are, faith-based people, believers who even have stronger convictions and believe that no, politics can certainly be for them. In the same way, that you observe at the national level, beyond the walls of any corporate organization, beyond the walls of any kind of organization, those who believe that, the politics is not for them, it's for other people, yet they still want their interests to be served. So you want to be a beneficiary of the prize, from a game that you are not a part of. You are basically choosing to be a spectator, and you want to win a prize. But spectators don't lift the cup in any match. Spectators don't win anything, except perhaps, if there is some kind of promotion. And you can never compare the price, the reward from a promotion, especially when you match it with the odds of winning. You can't compare it with that of those who are on the field, who are playing. The reward is usually, you can't even, there is no basis for comparison. No basis for comparison. So that's the way that it is. When you come into the organization or into organizations, because for some people, they do it from one organization to the other. They get into the first organization, they believe that, this is not what I bargained for. There's too much politics there. And they are thinking that they can move on to the next organization, that when they get to another organization, it's going to be better. And then they make the move only to discover that the politics, remains. The politics is going nowhere. Maybe the politics is even worse. Or they find themselves, having to endure greater discomfort or greater backlash than where they were coming from. I have heard some who have shared their experiences, moving from what we would call in the banking parlance in those days, the local corporates, okay, moving from such organizations, moving on to multinational companies. And they are thinking that the multinational companies, it's all about merit. Things are not done the way they are done in some of the local organizations. And so once they get there, everything will just be fine. And then they go ahead, make the move, and they are shocked at what they discover. Wait a minute, there's politics here as well. Oh yes, there's politics there. The fact that there is a multinational company does not mean that there is no politics. It's not the type of organization that determines whether or not there is politics. The type of organization has little to do with it. What determines is the nature of the stakeholders. And therefore, what is at stake? That's what determines. whether there's politics or not. And almost in every organization, even a non-profit organization, there are interests, just as there are stakeholders. And those interests for them may be as compelling, as the commercial interests are for the stakeholders in profit-making organizations or in commercial organizations. So what we are talking about here is that the moment you come to the organization and your approach is that I can't play, I'm not interested in playing, this is not for me, all right? I don't believe in playing this game. It shouldn't even be allowed by anyone. Then you have come with a position, with a mindset, with an attitude that is likely to haunt you the remaining days you spend, for as long as you are in that career, for as long as you are in that institution, organization, for as long as you maintain that remains your mindset, then it's going to turn out as a self-fulfilling prophecy. All right? Because what you are saying is that I'm not going to do what they are doing in order to get ahead. You feel that what others are doing is inappropriate. At the extreme, some feel even that it's evil. And so they say, well, I would not do that. I'm only going to concentrate. I won't even play. All right? And what you have done is that you have signed up to get out of the game, not even to be a passive player. Because in this game, there are active players and there are passive players. But when you come with this particular mindset, which is, like I said, is very, very common. Very common. I need to show you the comments, that I have had. In fact, interestingly, for some of those programs, when, for some of them, I took up an advert on Facebook, and you even find the way that people comment about, the proposed program, which they haven't been a part of, which is simply saying to them, why not be part of this program and learn how to succeed in this game? You see the attitude. And when you read those comments, it's clear that they were written by people who are knowledgeable, by people who perhaps were in such the situations. They are the people you are trying to help, but they already have this mindset that, no, this is not. No, I'm not going to play eye service. I'm not going to do psychophancy. I'm not going to gossip, as though all of those are what office, those things are not the thing, they are not the ones that define, they don't define office politics. Office politics is not defined in that, by those terminologies or by those actions. The correction I always make is that those are just the strategies that some people have adopted. That's what they believe. When you decide to play the psychophancy card and you want to say, you're so committed to your boss because your boss is the one who is calling the shots, who can get you promoted. It doesn't matter what your boss does. You can't even tell your boss that, when they are wrong, whatever it is they do is good with you. That's how they believe they can get ahead. That's the way that they believe, all right? They can, is their approach. The approach that they believe will give them, would help them to realize their interests. And it's all about interest. It's all about interest. That's the significance of being a stakeholder, the fact that you have an interest in the organization. All right? So the politics is not defined by strategies. All right. That's not what determines the politics. The politics is defined by the interplay, all right, of the stakeholders, which would include what interests each stakeholder and how each stakeholder decides, to pursue their interests. And of course, there will be an outcome because periodically each stakeholder will realize something. For the owners of the business, that the periodically becomes like at the end of every financial year, they're going to get something. The staff also will get something, So everybody almost on a periodic basis would evaluate, is my interest being served or not? And if it is, great. You decide how do you continue to pursue your interest. If you still remain as a stakeholder. If not, then you decide what changes you need to make. So coming back to the subject matter, for today, it is that those who suffer in the pursuit of their careers tend to do so because they are not mindful of the system. They don't pay attention or take seriously, how things are done within the organization. All right. And you can't, if you ignore how a system operates, how can you maximize the benefits, if any, that the system has to offer? That's what such people are trying to do. Once you have that attitude, you have simply, booked a prophecy that will come to pass. Because if you say, I am not, like one of my friends who is a key contributor in this area and has a critical experience, she had a practical experience. Her name is Nivan Posma. And she wrote the book, If You Don't Do Politics, Politics Will Do You. I recommend, you to get that book. Pretty compelling title. If you don't do politics, politics will do you. The point, and she wrote that out of her experience. This was a practical experience, one in which, she had the attitude of, I'm not going to get into this game. I don't see why I should get into this game. I can survive here by just focusing on my work, just doing my work. I don't need to, go after any relationships. I don't need to try and improve anybody. To impress anybody. I don't need to, work on visibility. I don't need to build any leverage, here. Okay. Other than the fact that once I'm given a job, I do it to the best of my ability. I ensure that my goals are met or my targets, I deliver on them, and that's it. And she was about to learn a very big lesson. And then, I recall the title of one of the articles she wrote separately in the Harvard Business Review. And the title was, You Can't Sit Out Office Politics. You can't sit out office politics. So again, it talks about, the mindset to decide that, no, I'm not going to be a part of it. If you do that, it will play out as a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. Why? Because you would be at the receiving end of all that is bad in the politics. And what that simply means is that what you desire, you would not get. The expectations you have will not be realized. And while other stakeholders may be realizing their own objectives, you discover that you are the one carrying the can. at the end of the day. The interesting thing about this wrong attitude is that those who, have this attitude or this mindset, they still have expectations. They still want to be promoted like others. They still want to be differentiated from others. It's just that they feel that they can do it their own way, that disregards the operation of the way the system works. So they find that in the end, their expectations are disappointed, and consistently so. And the reason is clear. It's because you can't, like I said earlier, say you are not interested in the system, you are not going to be a part of it, you are not going to take responsibility for your own journey, like others who consider themselves to be key stakeholders are doing, and still you want to be rewarded like they want to be rewarded as well. So, and we must say that, of course, the greater the stakes, meaning the higher you are on the ladder, on the organizational ladder, the greater the stakes. The greater the stakes, and the heavier the disappointment. The heavier the disappointment. Because, yes, you might ignore the politics of the organization at lower levels and still get promoted. Why is that? It's very simple. Because the stakes are not as high. Because at the lower levels, in any organization, more people are at the lower level. When you count the numbers of people who get promoted at the lower level, they are usually more than those at the higher levels. But the higher you go, the greater the stakes. The greater the stakes, the less, if I might put it that way, you can afford to continue to ignore the politics. If you maintain the same attitude, thinking that, well, after all, I met my targets at the lower level, every time I meet my targets, I get promoted, and you want to carry that, beyond a certain level, then your disappointment will begin. Because guess what? At the lower levels, targets mean something. At the lower level, technical skills mean something. Talents mean something. Moreover, at the lower levels, the cost of promoting you is not a big deal. But at the higher levels, it's really not about skill, or at least not the kind of skills that you're talking about. And those who know will tell you at the higher levels is more about even the political intelligence skills, and that's something that is confirmed by research, than some of those other skills. It's also about leadership skills. It's also about people management skills. It's not about the technical skills. It's not about whether you know accounting. It's not about whether you know any particular area. It's not even about whether you are, an HR professional or not. It's a lot more than that. And, at the higher level, management has to think very well about, promotion. Because you promote one person, they know what the effect is going to have on the bottom line. Those guys earn a lot of money. It's not like when you were little. So generally, when the stakes are higher, you have a lot more to lose. And therefore, it will cost you more if you continue to maintain the same mindset of not wanting to get involved. You would clearly lose more. In fact, the chance that you will lose more, the chance that that prophecy will be fulfilled, continuously, will be almost certain, just because of the interplay of forces as you go higher. So that's the point that I wanted to focus on today. This self-fulfilling prophecy, which is occasioned by the attitude, the mindset that we bring to bear, in the pursuit of our career, which is such that tries to demonize, how the system operates, which is what is captioned by the term office politics. When in fact, the mindset should be that this is given. This is how the company operates. How do I navigate my way successfully? All right, recognizing that I can't run away from how the company operates. It's been like that before I joined. It will be like that after I have left. And I'm not obliged to do negative things, to play, cards that are crazy. No, because each one has the decision to make, the choice to make as to how they want to play. And there are certainly different, ways of play. And many of which don't involve selling your soul, losing your faith, losing your self-esteem, playing psychophancy, gossiping, and all of that. There are intelligent ways of play that helps you, to maintain. In fact, a source of leverage is also how you play. It's how you play. But those are details that, clearly, they are not for sessions like this. We don't have the time to get into them. But I thought to share this, aspect, that rather than looking for, rather than pointing accusing fingers at anyone or at the system, and claiming, and feeling that the system is working against you and you can't seem to just, do better or get better from the system, you should look at yourself, because the attitude that you have brought, to the tough is the one that is working against you. And if that attitude does not change, you would perpetually, suffer what you feared. It sounds like Job said in the Bible. It says the things that are feared, those things they have befallen me. Those things have happened. And that's going to be because of, it's the same thing that we're talking about here. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You were fearing that they were going to happen. You were feeling that, you always knew that because you are not in the game with them, something won't go well. And you discover that something is not going well. But it's not because of what they are doing to you. It's because of your attitude towards the game, that no one should get out, that everyone should be a part of, but that each one, is well empowered to decide how exactly they want to play. Let me stop there for this session, and to thank everyone again for joining this session. Well, to give an opportunity in the few minutes that we have left, to have some feedback or some questions or some additions. I believe that, there may be aspects that, need clarification, or there may be things I didn't mention, or there may be different perspectives that some of us would like to share. So if we're not very many, so if you want to speak, and I will please want to encourage you to speak, please just unmute your mic and go ahead and let's have your contributions. please. All right. I hope I haven't been speaking to myself all this
Not
while.
at all,
Because,
sir.
all right, Demola.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Demola.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Doctor, good afternoon. Thank you for another
Yes.
thought-provoking and quite inspiring presentation. Mine is just a contribution, not a question. Office politics, from my own experience, is an existential strategy. And by that, I mean something that has to be done. Just like you rightly said, you just have to be involved. You can't be a spectator and expect to win the prize. And permit me to use this proverb in Yoruba to illustrate.
Yes.
I simbe only power dasi.
Okay.
And
you should give interpretation to it. That all right. What Demola is saying is that you can't, if you are present to see something happen, you know, is unacceptable to say that you are not going to be a part of it, or you are not going to, you know, contribute. Yes. All right.
Yes. Then the second one is simbe only so which basically
correct.
means that you have to be present. You have to be actively involved in office politics. And just like you said, at the lower level, it's so easy to coast through. It's so easy to get everything sorted out. At that point, nobody is looking at you. The moment you begin to climb the leadership stairs, all eyes on you. And at that point, just like you said, what begins to differentiate will be your leadership skills, communication skills, people management skills, and how you can play the politics. Okay, so maybe what we should be looking at is how do we draw the line? Because office politics can be very nasty sometimes. So there's this ethical dimension to office politics that you need to know exactly. I mean, you won't kill, of course, because you want to play office politics. You want to backbite, but of course. But you need to do, of course, strategic positioning. Strategic positioning, project your brand as someone who solves problems and who is easily accessible. Okay, be in the right circles, contribute. If there's an occasion for you to socialize, don't say, "Oh, I don't drink, I'm not going. I'm a born again Christian, I'm not." You've got to be there because those are the occasions that decisions are taken. Okay. Yeah, so we just have to be part of what is going on, and you need to know what we call the power centers in your organization. Where are the power centers? Where are the influencers? Okay,
who's calling the shots?
Someone may be a GM and may not be as influential as someone who is an AGM.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes,
so you need to know exactly where the power base lies, and you need to know what the leadership of your organization. You need to know the way they think. You need to be a step ahead of them. You need to know what they like to see, what they like to hear. So all of these things, and of course, the way you present yourself too, it's very important. Okay, I was fortunate to have been launched into senior management position from a junior level. Okay, I became the what we call the jury head of my department. The jury means by default.
But
okay, and there was a substantive head. But what did I do right? I never did anything unethical, but I made sure I was at the right place at the right time doing the right thing. Okay, I knew when to visit people in the office and discuss with them. I knew when to discuss football. I knew when to hang out with them. And before you knew it, everybody began to began to show interest in me. And it was when my boss started having issues with senior management, they didn't think twice before asking me to step in. Okay, so when you play your politics right, when you position your brand very well, you can be launched from obscurity into prominence, even when by organizational standards you do not deserve it. Okay, I got an exceptional approval for a car loan when I was not qualified to be.
That's
But
part
because
of
the MD, yes, but
yeah.
because the MD liked me and he saw me as someone who was playing his politics very well, he approved it. And he put it in fact on exceptional basis. I'm approving this. Even though the head of personnel did everything she could to delay it, to even frustrate it. Until the MD came to my office one day, we went for a program in Ekiti, and the MD was asking me, so when did you arrive? I told him, how did you arrive? I said, by public transport. He said, what? Where's your car? I said, it's not been approved. He said, on Monday morning, remind me. On Monday morning, he was what I even came to my office, said, follow me. He went to the head of personnel's office to go and ask, why haven't you processed?
Why have
So
you not bought this car?
yes, so there are so many benefits that come with being. I wasn't the most brilliant in the organization. I wasn't, but I just knew how to carry myself. And when you are given opportunities in your office to show the stuff you are made of, please grab it with 5 hands, not even with 2 hands. Maximum, yeah, because we used to have birthday celebration every quarter in our office, and I was always the MC. It was a good opportunity for me to launch my brand.
Visibility.
So, visibility. So opportunities will come for you to play the politics in a positive way, and you must willing to grab those opportunities. Thank you once again, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Demola, I hope you'll be with us again next week. Next week, I'm going to be speaking on the landmines to avoid.
I will.
Because a number of the things that, and I like, I like the experience that you had and the things that you've shared, because it's also important that it would be nice to use that to also examine the potential landmines, because in all that you have said, you really have to play the politics right, because along the way there are landmines.
We are now approaching Tottenham Hill.
And if you are not mindful of them, you may get one thing today, and that thing,
will backfire.
You pay dearly for it. You pay dearly for it tomorrow. But all right. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Can we have some others as well? I think we still have a few minutes, if you don't mind, to still take some contributions. Helen.
Okay. I just want to add to what Demola just said.
All right.
Yeah, for me also, I think I was also fortunate to start my career at...
Sorry, Helen. Helen, can I pause you briefly, please? Demola, I wanted to say something, please. Demola.
Yes,
hello.
Sir.
Sorry, please. I'm going to, because I want everybody to hear. I'm bringing you to the platform as well, to the Office Politics Champions platform, because I want you to come and speak on leveraging your personal brand, to get ahead at work.
Sir.
Please, leveraging your personal brand. We'll talk about the date. Yeah, it just reminded me, because you brought the issue of branding, and that's one of the key platforms that people can leverage, to get ahead. All right, Ellen,
thank you for the honor.
Thank you, sir. Ellen, please go ahead.
Okay, I said I had a similar experience also like Demola. I was fortunate to start my career at a top level. And when I joined the bank, then it was AfriBank as a manager. And you can imagine a student that just finished MSc, just worked briefly in a pension fund management company. And I was like, given that level, yes, to tell him.
Manager at AfriBank in those days.
AfriBank recruited us and then now posted me to a subsidiary, because we're supposed to be the ones to start the private banking unit, but I think they were having some challenges, so they now pushed us to the microfinance, which was also new. Said, okay, go there, start, and then you come back. And eventually, when I got in, because of my age and because of my, I just can't really say, but I think it was really the interview process. The head of human resources then we engaged, though while I was doing my MSc, I had finished. I was working with Sigma Pensions then, now Access Pensions. And I was given my first job, and I was asked to manage a zone. That's the Abuja Benue Plateau zone.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, at this. So, but I knew that I had these leadership skills in me growing up as a child in church, to take responsibilities, because leadership, it starts from a very tender age. You know, true leaders when they are young. You understand? I know that at home I'm being given responsibility. So I just grew through that, and I just came in as a manager. Everybody thought I couldn't, but he said something here. Office politics, you coming in as if you want to actually play the politics, you must be an asset to the organization. You must actually know your onions. You must be doing very well. You must be outstanding. And I think that was what worked out for me. You understand? I was outstanding. And I knew that a lot of persons were not really in tune with my level. And because they even had a meeting ganged up against me. But as it is, I was not made a branch manager. I went and I was able to conquer. And they were all amazed at wow. So, and that was how I now fell into the MD's good book. I was being able to play my politics. Then I didn't even know I was playing that politics then. I didn't know. But I'm just coming now to understand that, oh, so I tried to, because I knew that I was at loggerheads with the other management staff, I made sure that I was always on top. I even took extra responsibilities. So I was kind of outstanding. Yeah, I had extra. I was being given awards. Best staff, there's this, most enterprising staff of the year. I kept having this award several, and I was like, wow. And that was how I grew to where I am today. But most people thought, okay, initially people were saying, she's a woman and she's dating the MD. But that, never, you know, particularly if you are from that gender, they always feel, but they all really got, and the MD came out to say, look, this lady is actually doing her job. Even the awards were not even being conducted by him. So they couldn't even say anything again. So really, for you to play in that space, which is very necessary, you just must be outstanding. You must not have any exception. Everything about it should be, though you must not be, you cannot actually be a perfect, but you must be work in progress at every stage of your life, of your career. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's a great experience that you have had. And I'm taking out something, again, Helen, I'm taking out a title. I will make it one of the sessions, one of these days. And I say it's playing office politics without knowing it. Playing office politics without knowing it. Because some people feel that, they didn't play office politics, but it's because they were actually playing office politics, because a lot of what you were doing, you were simply sensitive to, how the organization operates. And you were able to, if you reflect, you would discover that you were quite, focused on looking for how to differentiate yourself, to distinguish yourself, so that you can position yourself, to be favored whenever there is a consideration. So you obviously had where you were going. And I guess part of what also helped you was the fact that you found yourself on a seat that was like a trial. So you are challenged to rise up to prove that the organization or whoever was behind it did not make any mistake, and putting you there. And once you were able to live up to that, you obviously saw an opportunity that, okay, so I can start from here and I can build up, so it happens like that. As well. I mean, thank you for sharing that as well. I'm sure we're all taking note. Do we have any other contribution? Any other contributor? Do we, or any question? All right. In the absence of any other, I want to thank you all, very much for joining the session again this afternoon. I always say, enjoy your lunch while we talk, the politics. Please feel free, invite others to join us. This is something that I'm sure everyone agrees that everyone needs, as long as you are still there pursuing your career. In fact, even if you are not pursuing a career, even if you are a business owner, you still have a responsibility to provide leadership. And I think as part of the comment, I think it was Helinda made that comment in passing, it is really the leadership that is able to define certain boundaries, okay, to guide the way the game is played, so that you can avoid some of the things that Demola pointed out, some of the more delicate, or the more potentially treacherous dimensions, of that game. So we'll be here, God willing, next week, Wednesday. We start at 1 p.m. and we just spend 45 minutes. But I'm sure that it's been worth your while. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Next week, like I said, we'll be focusing on the landmines to avoid, all right, at work, the landmines to avoid at work. It promises to be very insightful and interesting. And I want to say to all members of the Office Politics Champions Group, that Demola Kimbola is a brand, consultant, expert, and a publisher. And Demola will soon be speaking to us as a group, speaking directly to how to leverage your personal brand, all right, for navigating, the politics at work successfully. Hopefully we can do that, in a week or two, but I will confirm that on the platform. So be on the lookout for it. Let me say also that the Office Politics Champions Group is still open. Anyone, recommend those, share with others. And we'd like, we're open to helping others. So we'd like to receive more members. Once again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day and week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.